Hi there, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Trina O'Gorman, and if you are returning, thank you for joining me again. So you get this notebook or this planner or this journal to use to write with the hopes that it's going to help you get your life together. And even though you're writing, even though you're planning, even though you're keeping a journal, your life is still a mess and you still feel unorganized and you still feel like you're trying to navigate a storm without a compass. So what's going on? Why isn't it working? So I think something that I discovered about a year ago when I was doing a Dare to Lead workshop, and since then have co-facilitated two of those, is that it was really quite challenging for me to come up with a list of my core values. So what are core values? Core values are the principles that guide your life, that you structure your life around. And oftentimes we are on autopilot. We may not have really thought about what our core values are. And that was actually what I was dealing with at the time. So even though I did a lot of planning, even though I did a lot of journaling and expressive writing, I still felt as if I was just kind of walking around in the dark a lot of the time. So how are you going to figure out what your core values are? I find it helpful to start with a list of core values that have already been, listed for me, and I will link a few different ones for you. There are tons of different lists. You can even have AI spit out a list for you of however many core values you wanted to spit out, because it's just going to draw from the information that's already out there. I find it really good to start there. What I found, though, was that when I started there, I didn't find all of my core values there. But I did find words and concepts that had me thinking about what my core values actually were. And I was able to use things from the list that I had and then add to that to really personalize it and make it my own. So when I had to do the activity in the Dare to Lead program, it asked you to narrow it down to two, narrow down your list of core values to just two. And that was really, really tough for me to do. So in that vein, I really struggled. But when I did have to narrow it down to two, I narrowed it down to my top two, which are family and legacy. Everything that I do, everything that I plan to do, I make sure that I am keeping in mind how that is impacting my family. My two sons did not ask to be here. They are here. And I really, really structure the things that I do around how is this going to benefit our lives as a family and going forward their lives, presumably without me as I grow older and they become completely autonomous and independent. And then I think of legacy, generational legacy. How is this going to impact my family? What am I leaving to them? Even family that I don't yet know, that don't yet exist in the future. And also, what legacy am I leaving to the world? Am I leaving the world in some way better than I found it when I got here? And it can be in small ways, but the things that I do in my life, I am hoping impact someone or something to foster or facilitate positive change. And so family and legacy are definitely two of my most important core values. The other one, though, that really, really stuck out to me was not on the list. And it is really one of the driving forces in my life. And that is being disruptive, not being kind, sweet, polite all the time, and just going with the flow and taking what is dealt out to me and accepting the narratives that I'm given. I push back a lot. I think in order to foster change, in order to work for change, we have to identify what the issues are and what groups are being impacted by things that aren't working. And in order to do that, sometimes we, or people like me, are seen as being disruptive. And I take that as a compliment. I think being disruptive is one of my best traits. The other thing that is really important to me and that really guides a lot of my decisions in life is healing. I think a lot of people have come through childhood and life and sustained some amount of injury. Things have changed a lot over the decades that help us find the language and the tools to deal with things that people in the past, our older family members really didn't have those tools and that language, and thus really struggled with many things. And a lot of those things were then passed down to us and caused injury, physical, emotional, and psychological injury that a lot of us now have to work through. And healing through those traumas and other negative experiences that we've had has to be, for me, a focal point, because unless I'm well, I can't show up in life as my best self. And so healing is very important to me. Inner peace is extremely important. Peace is what I like to use as the word to define my home, and I've strived for that pretty much my entire adult life, but particularly once I had kids. I wanted my home to be a safe space, a place of refuge, a place of nurturing and love and peace. And I make sure, or try to make sure, that I don't invite in or entertain things that are going to disrupt that peace. And that has meant establishing boundaries that are sometimes difficult to maintain, but it's important enough to me that I do that. And so inner peace, outer peace, peace, but particularly inner peace, because I have to take care of what's going on inside of me in order to do anything else externally, right? So inner peace, and then wellness. Wellness has to do with all aspects of my well-being, my emotional well-being, my physical health, staying healthy, exercising, sleeping right, eating healthily, making sure that I'm psychologically okay in addition to being physically okay, making sure that I am spiritually okay. Even though I'm not a religious person, I think that spirituality is important for anchoring us in this world. And so that's the way that I think of it. And I do pay attention to that aspect of my well-being as well through philosophy and meditating and connecting with the world, the universe, as it were. So we can't embrace every value. So we do have to narrow it down. Most lists that I start with have something like 150, 200 core values, and then being asked to narrow it down to 2 is tough. I've narrowed it down to 6, and that is because there are 6 slots in my planner. And what I wanted to do was to put my core values up front in my planner because I wasn't going to use these slots for business cards or credit cards. So I was like, what am I going to use them for? And I decided to use them for core values because I can do all the planning, all of the expressive writing that I want to do. But if I'm not focusing on my core values and keeping those at the forefront of everything that I do, then it's like I just start wandering around and things start getting chaotic and I don't really have the direction in my life that I want to have. So I decided I was going to print them out and put them on cards and stick them in these slots. And that gave me 6 slots. So I was like, yay, I can have more than 2. What I did was prioritize them. And I keep changing them because some of them to me are equally as important because, you know, my family is number 1, but I can't really take good care of my family if I don't take good care of myself, my health, my psychological well-being, my emotional well-being, my spiritual well-being, and my financial well-being, like all of that. I have to take care of in order to take care of my family and leave a legacy and heal and inner peace. So they're all interconnected to me, but I always put family up top and always keep in mind what I want to do for them and what I want to leave for them. And everything else, I think the last 4 could probably be even, like they could all be in a line, right? And if I could think of one word that encompassed all of them, I would, but I think disruption is different than healing, it's different than peace, it's different than wellness. So core values help us navigate the decisions that we have to make, whether they are huge decisions or minute decisions. They help us stay aligned with what is our true purpose. They help us make meaningful decisions like choosing a career, surrounding ourselves with inspiring individuals, and living with intention. So I hope you found that to be helpful. I will put links to lists of core values in the description of this video, but I also encourage you to think outside of the box and really think about what makes you tick and what gives you a sense of purpose in your life. I didn't see disruption on any list that I looked at because we have, as a collective, been taught to steer away from words and values and purposes that sound negative or sound like they are somehow going to push up against the status quo. And I think that is exactly and precisely why I'm here. And I think that's one of the things that we need to normalize, and we need to try to find the positivity in negativity. We can't always look at the bright side of a negative situation. Sometimes we need to confront the things that are wrong and we need to correct them. And that requires us to come at those things with disruptive energy. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you found this to be helpful. Take good care. Bye.